Welcome to the Local Domination Podcast, your ultimate guide to get local clients fast. Featuring interviews with local marketing and lead generation experts who will show you exactly how to attract local clients and dominate your market. And now, here's your host, Doran Aldana.
Get this. Every day, local prospects are searching for your products or services online, and they're looking for someone they can trust. Are you capturing that business? How would you like to dominate the local search results with more 5-star rave reviews than any of your competitors so you become the only logical, trusted choice? I call it Operation Domination. Download a free copy of our Ultimate Testimonial Toolkit now at mytestimonialengine.com/domination. Again, that's mytestimonialengine.com/domination and discover how to build your business at the speed of trust. All right. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Local Domination Podcast, your ultimate guide to getting local clients fast. This is Doran Aldana, your host, and we have yet another kick-ass, awesome interview. This one is with the one, the only, Dr. Fred DiDomenico. He's a chiropractor extraordinaire, as well as a consultant / business coach to other chiropractors across the country from coast to coast, with over 14 years of experience in the trenches on the front lines of capitalism. He's been not only just a chiropractor technician doing what he does best as a chiropractor, but he's learned over the years how to be not just an average chiropractor, but a dominant chiropractor in his market. Dr. Fred DiDomenico opened 4 successful spinal corrective chiropractic practices in 3 states, treating 500 to 700 patients a week. Yes, that's a week. That's called snapping necks and cashing checks in a big way. And at 1987, he's a graduate of the Los Angeles College of Chiropractic. He quickly found the philosophy of chiropractic after school and elevated his life purpose to help as many people as possible live this philosophy and lifestyle. It wasn't long until Dr. Fred sought to change the industry itself. He is a game changer, an industry transformer, and we're going to get his insight, his philosophy, and a snapshot into the tactics, the tools, and the timeless truths that he applied in his business to multiply his clientele and expand and make some significant headway in growing his business. So with that being said, I'm just so thankful you're here with us, Fred. I'm looking forward to learning from you today.
Thanks, Doran. It's a great pleasure to be here. I was honored when you guys contacted me, and I believe the things that we'll share today will certainly shift the mindsets of people to think a little bit differently and use principles that can be applied to any business to really grow and really how to leverage your energy, man, to do a little bit. You know, what's the 20% that gets 80% of the results? And that's really what we want to talk about, and how to make it easy.
Absolutely.
And fun.
I love that. You know, if you can make it fun and you can have it be a passion project that your heart's centered and connected with, that is where you can really start to pour gasoline on the fire and not just make a whole whack of money, but enjoy the ride, enjoy the journey. And that's really what it's all about. So I love that. So why don't we start off with just a little bit about you, Dr. Fred, in terms of how you got into chiropractic, but more importantly, how you learned how to scale your business so effectively. And then, of course, how you transitioned into coaching other chiropractors how to do likewise. I'm just kind of curious the journey there real quick.
Well, I think one of the most important things and foundation for stamina for entrepreneurs really comes from a spiritual basis. I mean, I felt like once I don't have some story where I was some high-level athlete and got injured and blah, 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 all this other stuff. I mean, I was in undergraduate college as a biology major. I wasn't sure what I was going to do, and I got a pamphlet from a chiropractic school, you know. I threw it away. Chiropractors don't know anything. So the same pamphlet came to me 3 times. And anything in my life, I developed strategy. If I'm looking for an answer and the same answer comes 3 times, I know God's talking to me. So right then, I just decided I'm supposed to be a chiropractor. I went into chiropractic school. I didn't know anything about it. I'd never been to a chiropractor, but I just knew this was my life path. So, you know, that's really it. And then when I found out what chiropractic is, and I learned that, hey, you know, life force to the physical body that comes from through the brain and nervous system keeps us healthy. That my mom was an RN. I mean, I grew up, if you had a zit, she'd give you antibiotics, you know. So I grew up with all these things, and it never resonated with me. So when I found out that we can take care of the spine and you can change people's lives and help them reach their potential, you know, I think we're all here for a sole purpose. I think that, you know, every step of everybody's life journey has a purpose at that moment. So whatever you're doing right now, especially if you're an entrepreneur, entrepreneurs are born. They're not made. You know, when you become a great entrepreneur, you've developed skill. But entrepreneur is a personality type. I mean, half of them are ADD. You know what I mean? We're highly creative. We're driven because we just can't stand the status quo.
Right.
You know what I mean? We're out here to make a difference, and we're out here cutting our own path. You're born into that. So when you realize that you're following a soul purpose, SOUL, and this is a step along the way, or it is a major soul purpose, and that gives you the stamina to do uncommon things. And then that was really the impetus of what got me out of bed every day, to learn how not only to be a great doctor and great communicator and great teacher, but I think that chiropractic should be how people live their life. I think it's a message for humanity. So with a purpose that's so much bigger than you are, then the drive to contribute to as many people as possible is the stamina that gets you through the hard times. And that's it.
So I love the soul purpose, not SOLE, but SOUL. I love those two words combined, soul purpose, a purpose that's anchored to your soul. It's part of who you are. It's a white hot burning desire to fulfill something meaningful that makes an impact and serves humanity. How does someone uncover that if they don't feel like they have it? If they're just doing it because they, you know, have a livelihood and it puts money on the, you know, puts food on the table, puts money in the bank, and it's just the path of least resistance, but they're not fired up about it. They don't feel like they have a soul purpose. How does one uncover that soul purpose?
Well, I think part of it comes through spirituality, which is why we teach so much. It's like when you see yourself as a spiritual being first, every step on the journey. Now, it could be you may not be in a job that you feel is your sole purpose, or it could be you're focused on things outside of you. It could be you're just focused on the wrong thing. So if you want to scale your business, number one is change your focus. Because like we always say, if you want to take your business and your life to the next level, it's mindset first and then system second. And so the mindset is be great at where you're at. Set a standard of excellence. Because it doesn't matter who's watching. You know, if you're looking at things outside you, what's my bank account? Well, sometimes the problem is conditions in the world change. Every entrepreneur, you know, that is a multimillionaire has been broke. Mm-hmm. So it's like, it's part of the process, man. So, you know, if you're totally elevated when you have a boatload of money and you're totally depressed when you don't, then your power is based on something outside of you. Because when you feel like you don't have the money or the conditions aren't lining up, it's finding that power and purpose to contribute to the lives of others, where sometimes that's all you have. Otherwise, you may focus on your bank account or I want more clients, and you develop this scarcity mindset or this urgent mindset that can really slow your progress. So when you just focus, and this is really the best marketing strategy, is to build lifelong relationships. When you focus on relationships and you focus on developing quality and lifelong relationships, you don't have financial problems. So money is a condition. It's not a state. Mm-hmm. In other words, it's not your state of being. It's a temporary condition. And so when you get past, you have an inside-out reference point, you don't get hung up on conditions. Hey, the economy's crashed, so that's an excuse. So what it is we get rid of excuses and we find reasons. And when you have reasons, they tend to come from an inside-out reference point. If you look at anybody that's changed the world, the Steve Jobs, the Martin Luther Kings, the Gandhis, anybody that's great, they all went through hard times. There's no person that didn't go through hard times. You see these people, wow, they're an overnight success. And then you watch them interviewed, wow, you just came out of nowhere. How did you become an overnight success? And they laugh and they go, I've been working on this for 20 years.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. The overnight success that took a decade in the making that no one saw because the roots were under the ground. It was in the invisible realm. People didn't see it. They didn't see all the sacrifice. They didn't see all the sleepless nights. They didn't see all the early mornings and burning the candle at both ends. They didn't see all the rejection and all the no's and all the trials and tribulations. They just see the fruit of 10 years or more in the making. And so a lot of times we want the fruit, but we don't want to do the work to nurture the root. And often that's trials, tribulations, setbacks, disappointments, frustrations, delays, all that stuff. So what I'm hearing you say is to get through all that resistance, to get through all those delays, and to keep on keeping on, as you call it, stamina. We need that soul purpose. We need to be heart connected to something so big. It's bigger than ourselves. We're willing to go through those trials. We're willing to go through the fire to make that purpose real. So let's say now, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, well, again, it's got to be heartfelt, in the depths. And another thing is setting a standard of excellence. So even if you feel like what you're doing isn't your ultimate sole purpose, be great at where you're at. And don't worry about who's watching and who's not watching, because the universe and God is watching. And God and the universe will open doors that no man can open and no man can close. But when you set a standard of excellence, people watch what you're doing. And when you set that standard, you got the whole universe behind you supporting you. And opportunities will pop up at the most unexpected moments. So the first thing is set a standard of excellence, even if you're not on your sole purpose. The next thing is focus on just serving people. And we'll get into the strategies on building relationships. And when you have that, then every step just has more joy in it. It gives you a bigger reason that just feels a lot better than just money. I mean, I don't know.
Mm-hmm. And you know what I found to be true? Is when you feel good, you tend to do good. Have you noticed?
Oh, my God. Of course, you radiate great things. People want to be around you. You become a people magnet. I mean, that's how you build your business.
And I can hear that just in your voice. I mean, frankly, before we started this call, I was feeling a little slumpish, a little sluggish. I have the puppy. It's only 3.5 months. It's not sleeping through the night. It's killing my sleep. And, I'm feeling like, man, I could take a nap. And I get on this episode with you, and I'm already starting to feel some pep in my step. My shoulders are rolling back. So it's interesting how you show up actually makes a difference in other people's worlds and other people's energy. You actually get to be a life changer just by how you're showing up and the spark you bring to the world. So I want to acknowledge you for that, because frankly I feel it, and I needed it right now.
Well, I appreciate that. One of the things from Tony Robbins in Business Mastery is influence is the transference of emotion. So people are going to feel about what you do by how you feel about what you do. And so if you're fired up because you have a bigger reason that's bigger than you and bigger than your bank account, like what you said, Dorn, it just radiates, man. People feel it and they want to be around you, and there's nothing bigger to build your business than your own state.
And without that, we can give you all kinds of tools in your toolbox, but if you got a leaky toolbox with a mindset and energetic vibration that is in sync with poverty, scarcity, lack, insufficiency, and excuses and all that gack and crap that we don't want in our lives, then we're going to continue to attract more of the same, more of the crap. So that's why I think you bringing up this mindset piece is so mission critical. We can't create breakthrough results if we're not creating energetic vibration in sync with that breakthrough result we want. We've got to be attuned to that higher level of vibration that's in sync with the higher level of result. So thank you for reminding us about that. So let's just assume for a moment that we've now elevated our mindset, our vibration. We got a soul purpose, and we're on fire for something meaningful. What's next? What's the best way now for us to take that and to practically execute marketing strategy that works. Let's walk through the steps.
Well, we're going to go through a couple principles that are just necessary in any business. Number one is the principle of leverage, right? So you look at, and then number one, is the principle of leverage, and number two, the most important business strategy in today's world is building a culture. Now, what's a culture? A culture, this is a paraphrase definition. It's an organization or a group of people that have a belief system that inspires behavior. So in other words, the belief and the principles of the culture inspire people in that culture to act and do the same thing. They have a purpose. There's qualities of a culture are unity, strength in interpersonal relationships, the relationships within the culture between the people. They have a common purpose. The common energy would be love. It's not money. It's love, because one of the highest human needs is contribution. So it's a purpose that has a principle or a truth that inspires a belief system and behavior, so that an organization, a group of people, can act in the same way. You know what I mean? And so what we want to do is you want to build a big culture while not only creating great relationships within the culture, you want to expand that culture into the community, and then you want to leverage your results with leaders. So you find businesses that may be aligned, or you create alignment with your purpose, and then you build relationships with them. And so, go ahead. You sound like you can say something.
Yeah, so we want to be able to leverage the culture. One of the principles you put down there that I have on my sheet that I wrote down as you're sharing here is leverage, but then the second piece is building culture. And that's really about a belief system that inspires a desired behavior, and having love and contribution, and building a big culture, and leveraging our results with leaders. That's what I have so far. So how do we bring that concept of building a culture into a routine that will naturally cultivate that result of a phenomenal culture? What kind of specific steps or routine would we want to cultivate to build a success culture?
Well, when you look at contribution, your primary focus, and one of the questions that you can ask your team, is how do we add more value to, number one, the relationships in our customers, and number two, to relationships with people that are aligned with our purpose. And so, for instance, I coach chiropractors. It doesn't matter if you're in real estate, you develop relationships with mortgage brokers and banks and all that stuff. So how can you add more value? Well, we do a thing. We have a 3-step system, and it's called it's very simple. And what I found, success comes from systems that are simple. If things are too complicated, they don't work, and people on your team won't do them. They got to be simple, they got to be easy, and they got to be purpose driven. So it's a real simple system for chiropractors. It really can apply to any business, and we call it a coupon drawer. So what it is you go to the problem is, I'm interrupting myself, I apologize. Sometimes we go out and market, we go out with the attitude of a wolf. In other words, I want to eat your meat. You know what I mean? So I want to go to your table and I want to eat your bread because I want customers. Mm-hmm. I want to get patients. So when you go out with I want to get more customers, people can feel that. Right. They can feel that you're a predator, so to speak. But when you go out with I just want to give and I want to add to the prosperity, if you're a chiropractor, add to the prosperity and the health of the businesses in the community. If you're, in real estate, or if you're whatever you're doing, if you have your own business, you want to add to the prosperity of other businesses. Mm-hmm. So how can we develop referral relationships? So one thing, and I'll just use, since I'm in chiropractic, use as an example. You'll go to businesses like, say, a gym. Well, that's pretty aligned. It's health and fitness. Chiropractic's about health and fitness. And I would go in there and say, you tell them what's unique about you. Hi, my name is Dr. Fred. I have a clinic down the street. We have the most advanced system of spinal rehabilitation that's ever existed in chiropractic. And because we have patients that come from all over the county, We like to align with businesses like yours so I can refer you my patients. Would you like me to refer our customers to your business? Now, nobody's going to say no to that.
Right.
So if you want somebody to say yes, then ask them a question they want to say yes to. Works great with my girlfriend, by the way.
I'm taking notes. I got that one highlighted.
If you're married, I'm serious, man. Take that principle. If you want them to say yes, ask them a question. A series of questions you want them to say yes to, and you'll get, that way everybody wins. And that's really the principle in business. We want to create a relationship where everybody wins. If somebody's not winning, then it's gonna come back at you, and it's just not going to work, and you destroy your reputation. So if it's not a win-win situation, we don't enter it. But if I'm coming to give bread, I'm bringing bread to your table. The first thing is to go out with that attitude. Gotcha. So like in a gym, I'd say, would you like us to refer patients? Great, do you have a gift certificate? What can you give me that I can give to my clients so I can refer them to you? All of a sudden, they have 8 million things they want to give you. You know what I mean? The next thing, step 2, so first thing, you get a gift. You find a way that you can refer people to them. Whether you're in real estate and you go to a mortgage broker, how can I help build your business? That's the perspective you go in with. If you go in with, otherwise people, they can smell it on you if you're a wolf. It's like a lion on a wildebeest, man. People are innately connected to each other. So go in with a contribution attitude, and automatically you have their ear. And their attention. When you have the right intention, you get the right attention.
I like that. Can you say that one more time?
Yeah, when you have the right intention, then you get the proper attention. If you want somebody's attention, go in with an intention that helps them. Because people love to talk about their favorite person, right? They love to talk about themselves, their business. So even if you're in a casual conversation with someone, you always start with talking about them. So a great quality to building relationships is to be so confident within yourself and the success of your own business, regardless of where you're at, that you have more interest in understanding someone else. Now, after they're done talking to you about them, they think when you're a great listener, because 80% of sales is listening, it's not talking. When they're done talking about themselves, they think it's been the greatest conversation ever, and you didn't even say anything.
So true. So true.
They feel totally connected to you, but you didn't even say anything. You just asked a couple questions.
Yeah, and yet you're the most brilliant conversationalist they've ever encountered.
Exactly. And then what are they leading to? They want to reciprocate. So what do they say? Well, what do you do? Now you have your elevator speech and you have a few questions. You've already built rapport, and the probability that you're going to be able to get them as a customer or leverage that or as a relationship is significantly higher. So anyway, you go in, first attitude, how can I help? Second attitude is, what problem do you have that I can solve? And so number one, their first problem in any business is more customers. We've already solved that because I want to refer you people. The second thing is, let's say, I'll use this as an example, and you can apply it to any business. Let's say it's chiropractor and I'm talking to a gym manager. What are their problems? They need more clients. They want to build their training program. That's basically the business of gyms. Right? So I'd say, oh, by the way, we have a train the trainers program. We study the most advanced system of spinal biomechanics and rehabilitation that has really ever existed. It's called chiropractic biophysics. But anyway, I know you have trainers meetings every month. Do you ever have speakers come in and give you some of the latest information on spinal biomechanics to help your trainers learn about maybe how to help special needs clients? Because this information is not available to trainers. And so now you set up a train the trainers program every month at their trainings meeting. You come in 15 minutes, give them a little talk, develop a relationship, have a call to action. Once you get the majority of trainers under your care, then you're getting constant referrals.
That's brilliant. So you're adding more value to the business, you're adding more value to the clients, and of course that reciprocates to you and more clientele to yourself as well.
Yeah, of course. So when you go in with how can I help, and you can solve a problem. Now these problems depending on your business, would be a community service. So it's like, look, as long as we're building this relationship, I'll come in and speak to your trainers for free. Oh, by the way, what we also do is we do structural analysis on your members. And if we find somebody with a weakness in their spine, would your trainers be willing to do a 5 or 10 minute consultation to talk to these people, so I can help you not only build your training program, but help bring information to your trainers they can't find anywhere else. Now, that's a fancy way to say we'll do a screening in your gym.
Okay. So a diagnostic.
Yeah. And so there's, let's take an example of another example. Let's say you go to a restaurant. Hey, you know what? I want some coupons. When patients refer or they're in the area, I'll refer them to your restaurant. Do you have a coupon or something I could buy or give to my patients? Like, 2-for-1 dinner thing. Great. What's their need? Now I'm going to solve their problem. Well, restaurant needs talks on safety. So I'd say, by the way, I know you have to meet OSHA requirements. Do you have to pay speakers to come in and give talks for your safety meetings? Well, yeah, I do. Well, as long as we're building this relationship, I'll do it as a community service. When's your next meeting? Or we're having it next month with the bartenders. Great. Well, I can come in, do a 30-minute talk, help you meet your OSHA requirements, and I'll do that as a community service since we're going to work together.
Brilliant.
Would you like me to do that? Now you're giving a talk to their employees and you're becoming their company doctor.
Exactly.
Because you're solving their problem.
And you get that instant third-party credibility because the company is endorsing you as the expert in that area, right?
Well, and here's not only that, but here's the thing. Number one, you're going to refer them clients. You automatically invoke the law of reciprocation. Number two, you're going to help solve their problem. You just invoke the law of reciprocation again. So now they almost feel obligated to do something for you.
Right.
The third question, now as a chiropractor, now get them as a client. So I'm just talking from chiropractic perspective, but this can be any business. I would say, have you ever been to a chiropractor? What was your experience? You got to find out the objection. Mm-hmm. If you're a real estate broker, you'd say, I know you probably work with real estate brokers. What's typically been your relationships? Who do you have relationships with? Do they refer you a lot of clients? I'm just curious, what would you consider to be a successful relationship? So if they say, well, we get, maybe 2 or 3 clients a month, I go, really? Well, that's fascinating because I refer out about 8 or 10 a month. Mm-hmm. I'm wondering why they only refer you 2 or 3. They must be using other people, and maybe do you feel that they're completely loyal to you? Because, I tend to have fewer people that I trust, but refer them a lot more. Now, all of a sudden, they're starting to question their relationships.
Right. But not necessarily just by statements, by asking the right questions, right? Asking
exactly.
the right questions.
Exactly, because I'm not going to say, wow, those guys suck, because I may have a great relationship with them. What you do is you act, well, that's confusing because I do a lot more. I'm wondering what their perspective is. What do you think it is? Well, I don't know. Well, do you think that's an important question? Do you think that's important for you to know for your business? Yeah, because I tend to refer out a lot more than that. And then I've just asked, that's interesting. And so they're like, well, all of a sudden they're coming to you.
Exactly. And you just expanded their criteria. They didn't know that was even possible until you had that conversation. It wasn't even on the radar.
Shift. Exactly. It wasn't even on the radar. Exactly. You shifted their mindset at first.
So I'm assuming, because this is all undergirded based on the principle of the 80-20 rule, 20% referral partners sending you 80% of your business, that you're going to want to discern what referral partner categories are going to be the best source that you can add the most value to and that have the most reciprocation power or capacity. Is that a fair assessment?
Exactly. Yep, exactly. So, you stick within your niche. There's a lot more to go with that we have all trainings on, but it's like, so the question you ask yourself is, what one person can I develop a relationship with, a loyal relationship that can refer me 100 people? And those you target. You want 10 people like that. If you have 10 people, relationships that can refer you 100 people, now obviously, you want to refer them a boatload of people. So one thing, like when I develop referral relationships, it's not about their business, it's about the person. So when we have vendors and things at our seminar, I know these people forwards, backwards, and sideways. We have the same purpose. It's not, I mean, we all love success and money, but we love relationships first. So I know with these people, their core value is a great relationship and a great product or service. Mm-hmm. But relationship comes first. So I know I can trust them 1,000%.
Right. Loyalty, integrity, character, all of that comes first before you start chasing the money. Is that the idea?
Exactly. Because if you chase the money, you're going to get involved with the wrong people. They're going to bring a lot of problems and lawsuits. And I mean, I've been through that too, you know, because when you're trying to build, you're like, shit, I just need to pay my bills when you're just starting. And you make thinking errors because your values are in the wrong place, where you're better off to create quality relationships, because when you have that between the both of you and it's so known and certain it's subconscious, you have loyalty, and that person will refer to you all the time. Now become a loyal customer.
You know
so,
what?
For instance,
sorry, go ahead.
Well, if I'm going to go to a gym or a restaurant or a car wash or whatever, if I'm going to develop a relationship with a business or a mortgage broker, you know, I'm going to use them. So if I'm referring to a mortgage broker, obviously, and I'm a real estate person, I want to buy a house, man, I'm going to go into those relationships. If I'm going to develop a relationship with a gym and I'm a chiropractor, I'm working out at that gym. And every time I give them the little thing to flash, hey, great to meet you. By the way, you know, I'm the chiropractor for this gym. Everybody's going to know who we are, what we do, where we're located, and you are the – I don't care if there's 8 million other chiropractors that go there, they're going to use you. And that is certain. Like, you make up your mind, I am the chiropractor for this gym, and even if it takes you 6 months to do it, you never get off that you provide all the services they need in your niche, and that's it. It's done when you build that relationship. You got to make up your mind that's the way it is, and then be a loyal customer. And everywhere you go, just be their best customer. You know, in the dry cleaning, just make it a habit of excellence that you're their best customer. Because what's going to happen is when you're their best customer and you smile and you tip and you just have a great day, then all of a sudden they go, hey, you know what? It's such a pleasure when you come in here. What do you do? Mm-hmm. And then they're going to ask about you. Mm-hmm. Not only are you going to get them as customers, but when someone else, another customer is talking and they know what you do, they're going to refer to you whether they're using you or not, because you're their best customer.
It reminds me of the be, do, have sequence that we hear so often in success philosophy and personal development. You can't have what you want until you do certain things, but you can't do those certain things until you're being a certain person. And you don't want to think of your goals, you want to think from your goals. And everything you're talking about, it's infused with this beingness of showing up fully with positive energy, showing up to serve, showing up to contribute, showing up to make a difference with the intention to serve, because with the right intention, you get the right attention, right? And then it comes from that place of showing up to serve, and that's anchored from that sole purpose you talked about right from the beginning. So it seems to me that there's a circuitry here, and that circuitry keeps coming back to who you are and having yourself be anchored to who you are, so that even when the results aren't there yet, you're showing up in such a way that results have to come your way. Success has to come your way because you're vibrating on that vibration, that energy of vitality, of vibrancy, of joy, of contribution, of peace, of power, of service, of love. Is that the idea?
Well, exactly. And every entrepreneur knows, I mean, there's certain days or weeks or months or whatever the time frame is where you just show up, man, and people show up out of nowhere. It's like they drop out of heaven. You know, there's times where just abundance rains on you. And then there's times it feels like you're in the friggin' desert, your lips are chapped and you're begging for water, right?
Right.
But if you notice, what's the difference in you and your team during times of abundance and times of scarcity? What are you focused on? And typically, when you can have the same joy in the times of when you feel like you're in the desert as when you're being rained on in abundance, you find you're in the desert a lot shorter of a time frame.
That's true.
You know what I mean? The desert doesn't last that long. And not only that, it's just a lot more fun when you're stressed and you're worried about future events. And that's why, to me, entrepreneurship is all about spirituality, because you're not focused on the conditions outside of you. You're focused on your state, your beingness, and your purpose inside of you that makes, you're supposed to walk through the valley. You're not supposed to build a house there. You know what I mean? It's like,
right.
We're supposed to look around us and say, oh my God, everything around me sucks. We're supposed to go, wow, the conditions, what's my state that I'm creating these conditions? And then the next thing is, energy is like a sine wave. There's ups and downs. The tide goes in, the tide goes out. There's times where the tide's in, and there may be time where the tide's out. So do your marketing, build relationships, focus on helping. And when it feels like the tide is out a little bit, then focus more on service, on helping people, on adding value. And the tide doesn't stay out very long. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, there's more waves coming in. If you were in the ocean and you watch the tide go out, or you watch a wave recede, you know that another wave is coming in. That's why the water is receding.
Right.
And the more it recedes, the bigger the waves coming in.
That's true.
So are you focused on the water receding, or are you focused on the big wave coming in?
I love that metaphor. I'm a pretty bad surfer, but I love to surf. Probably spent about 8 months surfing over the years in various different places. So that metaphor really speaks to me, because I love surfing, even though I'm not a great surfer. And it's so true. When the big swell's coming, the tide starts to suck up into the waves, and all of a sudden more and more the beach is revealed, and then the big kahuna rolls in, right? And everyone's paddling like hell to try and get that wave.
Yeah, and big surf, it's a riptide. It's not even the water's receding, it's a riptide.
Right, sucks you out.
There's all kinds of action going on, right?
Yeah, but it's just a matter of focus, right? So let's talk about that, because everything you're talking about here really can be linked to a pivotal shift in perspective when it comes to going out there and reaching out to people. Because the mediocre majority, they'll go out and they'll be focused on not getting no's. They'll be focusing on not getting rejected. They'll be focusing on, I'm going to make this call. What are they going to say? And so they focus on the negativity. They focus on the rejection. They focus on the discomfort of getting a no, versus the big swell of abundance, the big swell of opportunity that's going to come their way when they take that action faithfully with the right energy. And so how do you cultivate that focus that brings abundance? Because we can't afford to think like a loser if we want to win. We can't afford to focus on lack if we want abundance and prosperity. How do you cultivate that from a routine standpoint? Because rarely in life will our results exceed the quality of our routines. So what do you do to cultivate that? What are your daily habits to cultivate that prosperity mindset?
Well, morning rituals, man, are everything. I get up. I'm a chiropractor, so I do my spinal rehabilitation. I drink my green drinks. I read. Right now, I'm going through A Course in Miracles, so I do a physical and spiritual part, and then I go work out. I got to get my body moving. So when I'm working out, I could listen to Joel Osteen. I can belong to a group, Genius Network. I listen to entrepreneurial podcasts. So while I'm training my body, I'm filling my mind with stuff. So it's almost like as I work out, I'm imprinting all these success and spiritual things into my body. And then I think really the thing is, when you look at people get nervous about selling, if you're cold calling or doing whatever, it comes to the first step in the coupon drawer, and that's, how can I help? When you go out with I'm trying to sell, I'm trying to get something, then it can make you a little more anxious. It changes your state. But when you go out with how I can help, you're far more relaxed. So a perspective to look at that: number one, get yourself in the right state, physical, mental, spiritual, with your morning rituals, and be consistent. And then when you go out, here's a metaphor: if you saw someone pulled over on the side of a freeway and their hood was up and their engine was smoking, you're like, you know what, they might need help. I'm going to pull over and you say, hey man, do you need help? And like, no, I got my cell phone. If it was a woman, my husband's coming to get me. I already called AAA. And you're like, are you sure? You can use my, nope, I'm good. Then as you drove away, would you still feel good about yourself?
Absolutely. I certainly wouldn't feel rejected. That's for sure.
No, you wouldn't feel rejected because you were there to help, because look at your intention. You weren't there to take, you were there to give. And so there is no rejection. There's just whether a person needs your help. Now, if you drove up and you go, God, my cell phone died. I left it at home. My car broke down. I said, hey, you can use my cell phone. Hey, no problem. Somebody call my husband. Can you don't mind if I call AAA? Good, you feel amazing. So it's not about selling, it's about helping and serving. So if you're going to do cold calls or you're going to go into a business, go in with the attitude, how can I help? Because if they say, I don't need your help, then you're like, cool, I'm sure there's 8 million other businesses that do, so I'll just go to the next one. So it actually doesn't make you feel bad. It actually feels good that, God, this business has their act together. I'll go find someone that has a problem that I can help them with.
That is such a huge distinction. As I listen to your words, I'm having my heart starting to open up just in terms of new perspective. I generally don't have a problem with making proactive prospecting calls or rejection or anything like that, but just the metaphors and the way you're weaving things in, the example of the car on the side of the road, someone needing help, or in one case, the first case, they already called someone, they already got help arranged. And all of a sudden, just that one metaphor unlocked something in me where it made me realize, you know what? As long as we have the right intention, and as long as we're coming from a place of there's a whole lot of other people that I can serve. If that person is not a yes right now, there's a whole lot more people that'll be yes. That tide is going to flow. That big swell is coming. And that trust, it's trusting that the good that I desire is coming. As I bring good into the world, the good that I desire is already coming my way. Knowing that it's coming, not hoping, wishing, and praying that it's coming, but knowing that it's coming. That certainty. And you cultivating that daily with your rituals and your exercise, getting your vibration up, your vitality up with your exercise, and getting your the affirmations, the visualizations, the educations. You do what I do too. You do the learn and burn while you're exercising. While your hands are busy, your mind is free. You're filling your mind with all kinds of positivity, inspiration, motivation, education. And I think that what you have in terms of how you show up in the world is no accident. It's by design. You cultivate it. You craft it. You're doing the work. So I just want to acknowledge you for that. And very much inspired by who you are and the message you're bringing to us. So with that being said, I'm sure there are a lot of people that are listening. And they're like, man, they're all over this like white on rice. They're picking up what you're laying down and they're wanting more. How can people reach out to you? How can people circle back and get connected with you?
Well, you can certainly go to Elite, ELIT, Coaching, LLC.com. That's the website. You can email me personally, Dr. Fred, DRFRED. 1, the number 1, so Dr. Fred 1 at MSN.com. Sure, I guess you can call me. My coaching line is 949-791-2986. So, and again, it's we live these principles, Doran, like you do. It really is, how can I help? I mean, I am a life coach and a business coach, but it's really not about that. If someone had a question, people call me up, I really need life coaching, I'm stuck. And I don't say, okay, here's my fees. I say, let's just have a conversation. Because if we can have a 20-minute conversation and I can give you an answer to get you through a barrier, I don't want your money. Just it's more about the relationship. So if someone has a question and we have an answer that can help, it's not about, hey, I value my service. No, we value the relationship. We do value our service, but we value the relationship. So I would, welcome anybody that needs a little help to help them out.
Beautiful, man. Well, thank you on behalf of our audience for your heart-centered and heart-scented contribution and service and willingness to not just show up, but show up fully and generously, not just in terms of the insight and the message that you gave today, but also just giving people the ability to stay in touch with you and reach out to you and get more from you. So with that being said, what would be one lasting, lingering nugget you'd like to leave people with before we sign off today?
It's everything comes back to an inside out reference point. I would say love yourself so much that it has to come out of you. And when it has to come out of you, everybody's going to notice. And, just real quick, there was a quantum physicist. I just forgot his name. David Hawkins developed a map of consciousness, and he determined 78% of the population function at a weakening consciousness. So you figure 8 out of 10 people don't have the self-esteem that they want to have. So when they're around you, just your energy and vibration and intention to help and serve makes them feel better. And that is your best business growth strategy, is people just want to be around you. And it's just a lot more fun to be joyful and happy, knowing you're fulfilling that step of your soul purpose. It just makes life a lot better. And just bring that into every relationship. And if you just do that, you're going to live a great life.
Well, I can tell you from my experience, Dr. Fred, you're leaving a wake of people feeling better about themselves, feeling better about life, and having a better perspective, a more abundant, joyful perspective, just from your energy and the insight you've shared today. So again, thank you for leaving that wake. Wherever you go, you leave that wake, and I'll tell you what, it makes a difference. So thank you.
Well, I appreciate that. And I'm honored to do this with you. I appreciate us talking today.
Hey, my pleasure. Well, folks, thank you so much for being with us. That's all for now. Thanks for joining us for another episode of the Local Domination Podcast, your ultimate guide to getting local clients fast. So if tips galore that help you soar is what you adore, know this: we've got more in store. Remember, nothing happens without implementation. So in the meantime, in between time, go forth, engage. It's time for Operation Domination.